Good afternoon and welcome to episode 2 of Get Your Fill with Phil the Thrill. I am joined today by my best friend, Gabe the Sledgehammer Cruz. I know this motherfucker actually I do know him longer than my brothers have been born. And he's my best friend, my former roommate. We've done anything and everything together. And the one common thing we share is we grew up in New York as Chicago Bulls fans.
Damn right.
Amen. And which is Gabe. Gabe is actually displaying way better than I could. I'm just wearing my Chicago Bulls t-shirt. He's rocking
I'm rocking the Christmas sweater.
I love it.
Trying to bring happy times during this pandemic when we were all still allowed to go outside and actually watch games. I'm putting a little fucking pizzazz for you. Slam dunk, which is what I'm hoping this podcast will be, a slam dunk.
we will shortly see.
There it is, baby. Chicago Bull emblem right there. Got the New York Ranger hat, still showing my New York roots.
I love it, and we're definitely going to touch on the Rangers on a different podcast because I know we can go hours about the New York Rangers, but
going back to the fuck alone.
Exactly.
We'll have a 3-hour podcast on how frustrated we get when they don't shoot the goddamn fucking puck.
we could spend an hour just on their power play alone. I mean, it's definitely one we'll do down the road. But Gabe, tell me your first interaction with the Bulls and why you decided to become a Bulls fan.
Well, very similar to what you said in your part 1 of this yesterday, I believe it was, or the day before. Honestly, I was just watching, I obviously being 6, 7, 8 years old, but when I was 7 years old, it was in 85, 8 years old, 86. I kind of started watching basketball more around 88, 89. So I was like 10, 11. Baseball was obviously my first love. I started watching that first. And obviously you always heard about Michael Jordan, and I would see highlights here and there. And then one day there was just a game on TV. He was fucking amazing, and I was hooked ever since. Basically, I enjoyed it. Obviously, during that time of basketball, there was a lot more competitiveness and physicality in the sport. So I was a big basketball fan at that point in my life. Today, not as much as I used to. Like, I'll watch a game here and there. I still love the Bulls, obviously, but yeah, basketball in the 90s, there was nothing like it, at least in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, the argument we all hear nowadays, and I'm sure you hear it, I hear it all the time. Even, I mean, we hear it, amongst our closest friends and family. Steve likes to tease us about LeBron being the GOAT, but obviously me and you are biased towards Jordan because how we grew up and watching him play. And like you mentioned, like the physicality and how the game was completely different back then. It wasn't ticky-tack, crying for fouls. It was blood point, kind of like I mentioned on part 1 when we grew up playing basketball, and that's why I didn't want to go too far.
Blood point.
Exactly. That's how like you had to earn that last point, and like there was no, it was you was frowned upon. It was to call fouls at that point.
If you're a pussy.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you didn't have a unless you had a bloody nose or a bloody mouth, like you're a fucking pussy if you call a foul.
Exactly. So unless, like you said, it was exactly what it was named after. It was blood point. Unless there was blood drawn, there's no foul. But and in my opinion, that's a huge factor in what separates LeBron from MJ was the physicality. Is when Jordan met that adversity that first year against the Pistons, he didn't cry and try to join another super team. He dug in, he hit the weights, he did everything he had to do, and he wanted to beat them. He didn't want to go and join another team and leave the conference. He's like, I want Isaiah Thomas again. And the rivalry got so intense that he hated him even off the court. And a lot of people, especially millennials, they don't know that during that Dream Team era, Jordan said, I don't want this guy on the team. Yeah. And Isaiah Thomas is arguably one of the top 5 players of all time, let alone generationally, and for Michael Jordan to have that kind of cachet and said, hey, I'm not playing on this team if he's on this team, and then them to go, okay. And, it rattled a lot of people, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. because Isaiah Thomas is arguably one of the best players in the world, and he's not on the team to go after gold. So, I mean, that's just one example of how competitive Jordan was. He didn't go in the offseason and say, "Oh, I want to get paid for this guy," or "I want to go play on this team." Scottie Pippen was drafted by the Bulls. He didn't go out and ask for Scottie Pippen. So he.
Well, technically, he was drafted by the Seattle SuperSonics.
That's true. Yes, you're right. As we learned from the last dance documentary, and which is why I wanted to lean on you, because you were, obviously more of a historian buff, and you can nail those things down for me. But speaking of the documentary, no, it's okay. No, that's exactly what I wanted you to nail down. And as far as because I could ramble and throw stats out there that aren't true, and you could just kind of hone us in. But did you watch the first 2 episodes of The Last Dance?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed both episodes very much. It brought back a lot of good memories, obviously, from the glory days. Basically 6 championships in 8 years. You can't really ask for much more, unless if he would have never retired. And
it's hard to be humble, baby.
Yeah, if he would have never retired, we may have gotten to see the Rockets versus the Bulls. I can't say that the Bulls would have for sure beat them, because I do think that 1994 team of the Rockets was very powerful. But it would have been a nice little, a nice matchup if that would have been the case. I mean, I am glad the Rockets beat the Knicks, though.
I am too.
I'm very glad. I was very happy when the Rockets took the Knicks out in 7 games. Mr. What was he, 2 for 18 from the field?
Yeah, and I, as I mentioned in part 1, I got to meet him, and I think it was actually after that run too. So, and when I wore my Scottie Pippen jersey, when I went with Glenn to meet him, and he wasn't happy. But
I never liked Starch.
It's hard to be humble.
John Starch couldn't even fucking protective cup, if they even do wear protective cups in basketball. He couldn't sip his crap, first of all. John Starch used to actually think that he could guard the GOAT. The GOAT? Excuse me, my finger. The GOAT. He was an idiot. It's like,
yes.
There's no way. There's no way. And it wasn't, and the dunk wasn't a dunk. He dunked it on fucking Cartwright.
Amen. I touched on that on part 1. You're right.
He trailing in late, and he dunked it on Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright. So I don't want to hear any more about the fucking dunk, because John Starch will and forever will always be less than Michael Jordan.
Amen. And I touched on that in part 1. I'm glad you kind of harped on it too, because I couldn't agree more that he didn't dunk on Jordan. Jordan came in last moment, and whatever. If they want to have that one moment of glory, then fine. I'd rather have my 6 championships.
They can have their one moment of glory is the dunk, and obviously 94 without Jordan. Let's just
say, what I remember, Knicks fans. You know what I remember?
Jordan.
You know what I remember too, Knicks fans? I remember the old finger roll missed by Patrick Ewing when he should have dunked it. That's what I remember. Yeah. The old missed finger roll.
I was rooting for the Pacers in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't.
Reggie was my boy too. I mean, obviously Michael was number 1. Reggie was my second favorite, followed by Chris Webber.
Now, was there anything in the documentary that you didn't remember, or you weren't aware of that was kind of cool? I mean, obviously, like I said, we've seen some of the game moments and stuff, but was there anything in the documentary that was like, oh shit, that was kind of cool? I don't know.
Honestly, I actually forgot how that last season started, the 1998 season, because obviously they call it The Last Dance. I forgot that season started with Scottie being on the shelf because he chose to get that surgery. Obviously, they didn't give him the proper respect to give him a contract that should have been for basically a top 50 player of all time.
Yes. Now, to play devil's advocate, to go to our pro wrestling roots. And I agree, though, before I get into this, I agree Scottie deserved to get a pay raise. But if you're looking at it from the Vince McMahon side of it, it was best for business a top 3 player in the world under that cap-friendly contract, because that probably freed up cap for us to get other players like Ron Hart. I don't know exactly. I could be wrong. And I don't agree, because in my opinion, Scottie Pippen deserved big money. And the fact that he was getting that was not fair.
For me, it's weird because I again, whenever I think about certain situations in life or players that I like, I always try to put myself in the situation. So there's a part of me that thinks the Vince McMahon / the way the organization thinks, which is You chose to sign this fucking contract in whatever 1992, whenever he got that extension for 17 mil. You chose to sign it. Nobody put a fucking gun to your head, and you were probably, as happy as a pig in shit when you signed it at that moment. Now, granted, 5-6 years down the line, you are an underpaid player based on what you've done for those 5 years, as far as establishing yourself as a perennial all-star and one of the 50 greatest players. So from looking at it from the management side, I understand. It's like, fuck you, honor your contract. We ain't giving you no more fucking money because this is what's allowing us to put all these pieces together. But then when you look at it from the player's perspective, it's I'm giving you my heart and soul. I'm putting my body on the line. I'm obviously the second best player on the team. Probably the best defensive player, I would argue, because even though Jordan, Pippen was fucking locked down, man. Like
he was, yeah. I mean, he really did, and that's what I feel like. That's what made Jordan even better of a defensive player because they could take turns guarding the best player and just wear that player down. And by the time the third and fourth quarter started, they were done. But I do agree, and obviously Scottie was in a tough spot because he grew, the way he grew up, and as we saw in the documentary, he didn't grow up in the best situation, so he needed the money. And it's kind of like you said, it sucks because it's a double-edged sword. As management, you could understand, hey, listen, it is what it is. You sign what you sign, but at the same time, when someone is that productive, they should be rewarded. So I guess it worked out in the best interest of both parties because like I said, Scottie took a stance and basically got surgery on company time, and we were still able to obviously be successful. But imagine how good we would have been with a full season of Scottie. That would have been crazy.
So yeah, obviously he came back, and we ended up winning the tip. He ended up probably playing. I mean, from what the documentary showed, it seems like he came back either in December or January. Obviously, they haven't gotten to that part yet. But yeah, I completely forgot about how that season began. So that part of the documentary, I found very interesting.
Did you know that they announced that it was going to be Phil Jackson's last year? I don't remember that as a kid.
No, yeah, that's another thing. I don't remember. Like I do remember the off season of '97 because I remember them. I remember Jordan giving his ultimatum: if Phil's not here, I'm not here. So
I don't remember that.
I'm assuming that they came out with this is Phil's last year before Jordan's comment, and then once Jordan made a comment, obviously Jordan's comment, even though is going to be bigger than the team because Jordan is the superstar. So it's like no one's going to care about what the Bulls said about Phil not being here anymore. People are going to be like, oh shit, are you going to make Michael Jordan happy, or is he actually going to go to another team? And ultimately they folded, gave Phil that 1-year deal, and they ended up having that 98 season.
It's true, yeah. I mean, but what do you think? Do you think we would have rattled off like 8 more championship if we would have kept that team together and the core together? Or do you think our time was up anyway?
The biased me said, "Oh, you mean like after '98?"
Yeah, after '98. Say everything went into. Say everyone changed their mind at the end of the season. Say like everyone had a reconciliation. Say we bring Phil back. Jordan comes back. Everybody comes back. Rodman comes back for like maybe 1 more year, even though he's unpredictable. But like say everybody commits for like another 3-4 years, and we add pieces here and there. Maybe we lose pieces here and there. But do you still think we win like another championship or two?
It's hard to say because I don't want to discredit other teams. Obviously, like '99, obviously it was the strike shortened season, and you had the emergence of the Twin Towers, basically.
That's true.
David Robinson, and when I look at matchups, like if let's say if it would have been the Bulls that made it to the finals instead of the Knicks against that Spurs team. It seems based on the 2 big men that they would have had that could have been a matchup problem for us. So I don't want to necessarily credit the Spurs saying that the Bulls would beat them. I definitely don't want to discredit Michael because once Michael's on the biggest stage, he usually ends up 6-0, baby.
So, I mean, he's matched up. He's matched up against big men before, and
I think they could have gotten potentially at least one more in '99 against the Spurs. He could have potentially got that one. But I think that would have been the last one. I don't think there would have been two more. I think if there was one more, it would have been '99 against the Spurs. It would have been four in a row, and then it would have been done because I don't think they would have given Phil, Michael, or Scotty. Scotty was out. Scotty was like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
Scotty was
and
out.
well deserved. I mean, did he ever wind up getting a big deal though? Like, did he ever wind up? I mean, I know he went to the Rockets, the Blazers. I know he bounced around a little bit, but did he ever get the deal that was kind of like at least like somewhat lucrative?
I don't remember, to be honest. I don't. I do remember him being a member of the Rockets, and I do remember him being on the Blazers team, the Blazers team in 2000, the one that was up by 15 against the Lakers going into the fourth.
Yep, the Shaq.
They choked it away. I really wanted that team to win because I mean I liked a lot of the guys they had, and obviously Scotty being on there, I kind of wanted Scotty to get something, you know what I mean, just to have.
You want Scotty to get that championship on his own.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would have been cool. Even though everybody knows he was a role player on at that point in his career in 2000, he ended up coming off the bench. But he probably could have been a starter in other teams. But Scotty was that type of dude. He looked at the game as bigger than himself, so he would do what's better for the team. He was lethal coming off the bench though for the Blazers. I do remember.
It's funny you bring that up too, because I unfortunately do remember a really heartbreaking game watching Scotty play. It was against the Lakers. I think it was in that series actually, and Kobe Bryant just had his way with Scotty, and it was so like depressing to watch because I obviously remember him as such a lockdown defensive guy, and granted it's Kobe fucking Bryant, the second, in my opinion, the second best player of all time. So it's not like he's guarding some bum. But I mean, to see what Kobe Bryant did to him, like within, I think it was a quarter or a half, was just like, oh man, like I wish Scotty was at his prime. Like this is hard to watch. And Kobe was just like tearing him up. But
I'm sorry, Phil.
No, shoot.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can use it. I don't care. Sorry, she's having some phone signal issues.
It's all right, man. We're quarantining. It's all right. It's part of
Honestly, the thing, going back to what you said about Kobe versus Pippen, to me, I looked at it as like the first time that I was able to potentially see because Kobe modeled his game so much after Jordan. It was kind of like seeing Scotty guard Michael.
Yeah, no, kind of cool. And that's, you know what? That's what I'm really looking forward to. We haven't really seen the first two episodes. I want to see that practice footage, bro. I want to see
practice footage when they were both younger. Like, let's say like 92, Michael and Scotty, when they were going for their second championship. I would love to see some footage of just practice. I want to see lockdown Scotty versus fucking, peak Michael.
Yeah, what's cool, like too, and I'm also getting more of an appreciation of Phil as a coach, because you could see like the little things he did to kind of like make sure like they didn't run red. He took him, like he's like, hey, go to the bar, go to this, go to that. He used to take him on field trips and shit. Like he was so like into the mental aspect of the game, and I feel like obviously with their talent, and then they had a coach that was like able to manage them in the right way. It just clicked in every single way. And that's what I'm looking forward to too. Cause like, I want to see the times where Phil and, MJ, like kind of like either go at it or like MJ and Scotty go at it. Like I want to, cause obviously there had to be some kind of turmoil, cause as great as you guys are as teammates, and we could say, we could speak for this, family fights with each other more than anybody. So
there's still friendly trash talk.
Yeah.
When you play, you still, like even when we were on the same team as kids, and we would play games, I knew that you were naturally the better athlete and the better player, but there was still that trash talk because you knew I would like. You knew I like to go down low, throw the shoulder in there. I used to do that famous Shaq move on everyone.
Yeah, back them up.
Yeah, I used to just body them up, back them up, and then left-handed layup that everybody would have a hard time blocking because I was one of the few lefties.
Yeah, we got to use what God gave you, right?
Yeah, like I always knew that though. Even when we were kids, I knew that you and Glenn were the best point guards. Ciancio was a great shooter. Obviously, Ciancio was just like he modeled his game after like Reggie, basically.
Yeah, remember he even kind of shot like him for a while too. But Danny was really good, man. We when we played Regina, like Catholic school basketball, like me and Glenn, luckily, like I think we're on the same team twice, so it was like it was cool. Me and Glenn never really had to go at it, but me and Danny were never on the same team, man. And we always just brought out the dog of each other. Like there was times he had the best of me, like there was a few times I had the best of him, but Danny and actually Danny got really his game got progressively better as we got older. Like he used to play point guard for a little while, like when we played Catholic school. I mean, good. Like he handled the ball pretty well.
Yeah,
and
I know earlier he was more of a catch and shoot earlier, and then when he developed his game more, obviously with the better handle, you could be a better point guard.
Yeah, no, I mean I forgot what year it was and what team it was, but I remember there was a year we matched up in the playoffs, but I happened to win. Yeah,
I just want to acknowledge one thing, even though I know we're on a Bulls topic. I just want to acknowledge one thing that in the Regina Pacis gymnasium, there should be a number 33 jersey hung up in the rafters for Phil Nicholas, who ended up winning not one, but 2 championships. And the disrespect that his jersey is not hung up in that gymnasium, it to me is appalling.
Thank you. And I couldn't have said it better myself. And I appreciate that shout out too, because it is true. It's damn true. But with everything going on, that's probably not the most important thing. But I agree. I mean, we all know what happened. I have the hardware to prove it. But if people don't want to give me the credit I'm rightfully due, then I can't do anything about it. But those statements are true, and hopefully one day we will see those banners raised. But just like the 6 championships that the Bulls raised over time. So, Gabe, give me some of your favorite role players that the Bulls had over the years.
Obviously B.J. Armstrong. I liked. He was a backup point guard, very solid player. Also very good defensively. With his big shots when you would need it. John Paxson, obviously the great, the sniper, 3-point sniper. There was a couple others like Randy Brown, Judd Bushler, Bill Wennington.
Judd, I was hoping you would say that name. Oh man, that is a
I mean, people shit on Bill Wennington, but he didn't have much of an offensive game or anything like that.
You remember the dunk though when Jordan scored 54? Remember Jordan threw that pass down and Bill Wennington dunk?
Exactly. That's what I mean. He gave you decent defense and decent defense, pretty good rebounding, and 6 fouls per game for the for centers like a Shaq. For centers that they couldn't handle, we would have a nice rotation between Luke Longley, Wennington during the second.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When did Cartwright get pushed out? No, it's okay. When did Cartwright get pushed out? Because I remember the Longley.
I think Cartwright was fired after '93. I think they ended up. I think it was '93 or '94. I think he retired. He might have played that one more season.
We traded Charles Oakley to get him, right?
No, we traded Oakley. The Bulls traded Oakley to get Cartwright. Yeah.
I always would have wondered, man, how Oakley would have fit with that '90s Bulls team, man.
Yeah. He was Jordan's enforcer before being traded. They actually had a good relationship.
I saw they showed that in the documentary a little bit. You saw that when Jordan got pushed, Oakley was the first one in there, ready to scrap.
Exactly. So I'm sure that must have been hard for Michael to accept at the time, but at that time he didn't have any chips and they needed a center. So, like I said, Cartwright ended up working out. He's another one who had a very weird, shot like that. Weird.
He had a clutch shot. Was against Phoenix, right? He hit the game winner.
I think, I believe so, or at least a couple of really crucial free throws. He was, like I said, he was a good, solid center in the league.
Mm. Yeah, no, he was. And most of those guys are my favorites too. I mean, I'll probably just add Tony Kukoc. I liked him a lot.
Kukoc was obviously from the second three-peat. Kukoc was the best bench player they had, from the 96, 97, 98. He was phenomenal, in that team. Obviously, Steve Kerr, he was
Mm.
another one. He was basically did what Paxson used to do before Paxton left. So Steve Kerr ended up taking the John Paxson role.
Mm.
Um,
And Kukoc hit that game-winning shot against the Knicks in the playoffs.
yeah. Anytime anyone does anything against the Knicks in the playoffs,
Yeah, but
at that
it's
time,
here.
yeah, at that time I had a lot of anger and animosity towards the New York Knicks because they were a formidable opponent for the Bulls. But there was a part of me that just never thought they were good enough. Like I knew that they were going to be tough, but I knew that they were going to be tough. I never was afraid that we would lose to the Knicks per se. Like, because I don't know if I guess Jordan just gave me that confidence. Like I just felt like eventually we'd pull it out. So, they just, it was just a matter of time before they'd lay down like they're supposed to and take the loss, let my Bulls move on, and you ain't winning no fucking chip this year.
Exactly. See you later. Go hit the golf course.
Exactly. Now, here obviously because it's 2020, I don't have the same disdain and hatred towards the New York Knicks. Now it's more pity than anything. Like I kind of pity their fans. Like in a way, it's like let's say if the things go back to normal and the Knicks end up having a decent season per se, I wouldn't be mad about it. Like I wouldn't obviously root for them because I'm a Bulls fan, but I'd be like, you know what? I'm glad their fans have something to be a little happy about because it's been a long time for them.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, do you think if we weren't around during that mid-90s run, say the Bulls don't exist, do you think the Knicks win a championship or two, though? Like, do we stop them from winning at least like one or two?
You mean like if Jordan wasn't in the way?
Yeah, like if they would have never had to play us and they got through the playoffs and played whoever in the finals. Name any team. This doesn't matter. Like if they wind up matching up with the Suns, like whoever we wind up beating in the finals, or say they got there, would they have had the same? Do you think they would have beat those same teams?
I honestly think the best Knicks team was that I remember, the one that was to me the most formidable was the 92 one. The 92 Knicks team. So I think if the Bulls don't knock them out, they end up playing the Trailblazers in the finals. And I do think the Knicks would have won. I really do. I really think the Knicks would have won. I think they had enough to stop Drexler. Obviously, I think Patrick Ewing would have abused whatever center they had.
I remember the center.
I think it's something. I think it was either Cliff Robinson or something. I don't remember the exact name. He might have been a power forward, but I know Ewing was money, man. Like as much as I hated, like I said, I hated him at that time. He was so annoying because he would do that same, like they would post him up. He'd do that like one dribble, two dribble, shot. Like he was money though. Like Patrick Ewing was a really good fucking center. Sometimes it's sad when you think that he doesn't have a chip based on how much of like a warrior he was. But it's just time, boy.
Yeah, the wrong era, man. If he would have waited like another 10 years, if he would have been born like 10 years later, he probably would have won like 3 championships.
Yeah, But to answer that question, the 92 Knicks, I think would have definitely 90. Let's say if it would have been 91 against the Lakers, I think the Lakers would have squeaked out another chip. 92, I think the Knicks would have beat the Blazers. 93, I think the Suns would have beat the Knicks. I think the Suns had too much firepower with Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley. Obviously, Patrick Ewing would have still abused Oliver Miller. That would have been like the big mismatch for the Knicks. But yeah, 92, I think the Knicks would have won.
All right, that's a fair point. We'll play. Now, what do you think? Based on these first 2 episodes, what do you think about Jordan being nervous about people thinking like he's going to come off like a bully or like he's going to come off as a bad guy? And we kind of seen a little bit of it, the way he treated Jerry a little bit. I mean, to me, it's like it is what it is. Like I'm not mad about it. Nothing they're going to show me is going to make me not love Jordan. So like I don't care if he abuses this guy for all 10 episodes. I'm going to love Jordan regardless.
Yeah, I don't give a shit if he does come off as abusive because I feel like sometimes to hit a certain level of consistency and success, you have to have a certain ruthless aggression trait. You have to have that ruthless aggression where you do whatever it takes to win that championship and to humiliate your opponent as long as it means that you will stay on top. And I feel like Michael Jordan basically would have done anything in his power to make sure he stays on top. And if that meant bullying sometimes teammates, to let them remember who the fuck he is, basically like, I'm Michael Jordan. Why do you think we have these championships? Get in line, listen to me, ride the piggyback and enjoy these chips. Shut the fuck up and play hard.
No, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I completely agree. And let's not forget, the guy was a fucking baseball GM. Like, you got this job, like, because you're buddies with the owner. Like, you had the best basketball player on fucking planet Earth on your team to shut up, collect a check, keep signing guys that he needs, and keep fucking stacking up those championships. But you wanted to make it about you, and you're nobody. You're trying to compare yourself to Michael fucking Jordan. Are you out of your mind? Like, I wished I would have had that job. I would have followed MJ around like, who do you want, buddy? Deadline's coming up. What do you want? What do you want to sign? What do you want to trade?
If I'm a player on that team, I'd be like, what do you want me to do? You want me to set picks all day? You want me to dive for loose balls? You want me to get you one?
He could have went down as one of the best GMs ever. He could have went down as one of the best GMs ever. All he had to do was just sit there, shut his mouth, and ask Mike, "Hey, who do you need this year? Oh, get rid of this year." That could have been your only, and you would have stacked up championships. After I mean, he got 6, so you can't argue that the guy didn't die with success. But I mean, it could have been like you said, it could have rounded off at least 1 or 2 more. But it is, you can't change the past.
One of the other things, again, going back to the documentary, that now I just thought about it, that I found surprising and also funny, is the abuse that they would give Jerry.
Yeah, they do. They did not sugarcoat shit. Taking those short pills.
Listening to stories about Scotty like berating him and cursing at him, like from the bus and things like that. Like, it's surprising to me because I never, like, when you hear them interview, like, we don't know these people personally. Obviously, they're just, like, kind of like heroes to us because they're players that we like and we root for. But like, we don't know them personally or how they really are in real life. So when you hear about like backstage stuff about this one being abused, or like when Michael's like teasing him about putting on gear and coming on the court, like that's
you can't roll the rim, Jerry.
Yeah, all I picture is like Jerry actually trying to get on the court and like Michael and Scotty like blocking, like blocking him as if it's Game 7 of the finals, like playing lockdown D on him, smacking him around, and like I enjoy that because I know that's in today's world it's considered bullying and you're not supposed to bully, and I don't condone it. But the way we grew up, because we grew up in the non-pussy era. Basically, like, we can tell jokes and not get offended and cry and whatever, like that's what we grew up with, ball breaking. So I look at that as ball breaking, so obviously he wanted to have some sort of the same level of respect like Michael and Scotty because he's the GM and he constructed the team. But like, I'm sorry, the players are you construct the team, but you need the players to basically put them all together and march towards that title. Like, they're not winning not belt, excuse me. They're not winning the championship because of Jerry Krause. They're winning the championship because of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and the other like vital role players on the team, and obviously Phil.
I completely agree, and that to me is why it wasn't bullying. It was that they were lashing out because of the way the guy was acting. I feel like you said he was acting like I was just acting before, like would have been like a GM that would have been for them and asked them like, what do you need and who do you want to get rid of? If he would have worked with Michael instead of against him, they never would have treated him that way. Like, like I don't think Jordan was definitely harder on his teammates, but that's because he wanted to win championships. As far as the front office, he didn't want anything to do with that. He even said like, I never went out and asked for this guy. They went and got me guys and I work with them and I tried to get them to my level, but I didn't say go out and get me this guy. So I feel like and I get, Jerry wanting to take credit, but you're going to get credit regardless. If you keep stacking up those championships, you're going to be remembered within that legacy, but you're never going to overshadow Michael Jordan. And like I said, if he's not doing those things on the court, you're not winning. And say the Bulls start losing, do you want to not now take credit for them, not having the roster? So it's like, just enjoy the ride while it lasts and collect those checks and win those championships.
That's true. I mean, and then if you look at other teams, like when the Rockets won back-to-back, you didn't see their GM fiending for attention.
Mm-hmm.
When the Spurs created the dynasty that they had, you didn't see their GM fucking crying for attention, like pay attention to me. I'm the little fat kid that never played basketball. I want attention. And you're like, fuck, just know your fucking role. Put the fucking team together. Shut the fuck up and get out of the way.
Get us under the cap, or whatever you got to do. Trade for that guy and get the fuck out of the way. It's like that's hard.
You had the easiest job in the world if you would have just shut the fuck up and got out of the way.
Yeah, but like I said, unfortunately, we can't change history. But it's always fun to wonder, like, what if would have happened. But so you tuning in for the next 2 episodes tonight, or are you gonna wait and watch them on ESPN Plus? Or
oh no, I'm gonna well, they're definitely being recorded. I will say that. I may not watch them live. I do sometimes. Like, I'm corny because I actually do like to spend a lot of time with my girlfriend, even though we're pretty much quarantined and we're here all day. So sometimes I sacrifice what I want to watch on TV, as long as it's recorded and I can watch it.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Hey, we're doing the same thing. That's a lot better than what some other people are doing. Basically, killing their spouses and trying to drive their trucks off bridges. So I do the same thing.
I really do, and I have to give her credit. She lets me dominate the television watching, but I really try to be fair because I don't want to cram like sports and documentaries, wrestling, boxing, MMA, all this shit down her throat all the time. Like, sometimes I gotta just swallow my pride and watch an episode of Teen Mom.
I've watched my fair share of RuPaul Drag Race myself, so I'm in that same boat. But we do what we do to keep the women happy, so that we can stay happy, Gabe. That's
exactly. As long as they're happy, they don't break our balls, and then we're happy.
Exactly. All right, man. I'm gonna wrap this up, but real quick before I go, I want you to give me a quick prediction on the UFC 249 main event. I won't have you break down the whole card, but Gaethje is fighting Tony Ferguson.
I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew a lot of knowledge. I watch MMA. Obviously, I like it. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, so I don't want. I'm definitely not a hardcore fan. I do enjoy it though. Based on what I've seen from both fighters, I would probably give the edge to Ferguson just because I feel like he just has like, I don't know, I just feel like he can dig down deep and has more of that like killer instinct. So I would probably say Ferguson probably but I think by round 4 his will be too much for Gaethje to handle.
All right, that's a fair assessment, especially saying that you didn't know much. That's probably more of expertise than some people that actually would watch the fight.
Yeah, because I come off as someone who thinks that I don't want to act like I know when I really don't. So obviously for your audience, I'm not fronting. I don't know all the ins and outs, but I do watch enough where I can give somewhat of an opinion.
Awesome, and that's what we don't ask for expertise, just whatever is cramming up in your brain. All right, last thing before I let you go. If Michael Jordan would have got drafted by any other team other than the Chicago Bulls, would he have had the same success?
So if it would have been another team, it would have been either the Blazers or the Rockets.
Yeah, hypothetically though, like you could throw out any team, like just say fantasy world, like pick a team other than the Bulls that he gets drafted to in that era. I mean, just for shits and giggles, like do you still think he has the same success?
I think he would have been a superstar regardless, but I don't want to say he would have won the same amount of championships because I feel like it would discredit his teammates on the Bulls, and again I have a soft spot for both those 3-peat teams. But I have no doubt that he would have been definitely probably a league leader, obviously in scoring, and he would. I think he would have still won MVPs. I think he could have won a championship. I do believe he had the talent to win championships. Um, but I don't want to say it's a given because I feel like it's disrespectful to his Bulls teammates.
All right, I respect that, but I'm not going to be a pussy, and I'm going to say that he rattles off a three-peat wherever he goes. I'm not going to say 6 because I'm going to, kind of harp on what you said and respect his teammates. But I still think he rattles off a three-peat wherever he was. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I think it could have been possible. I do think it could have been possible. Based on the teams that like imagine if he ends up on like the Suns, like could you imagine Kevin Johnson and Michael Jordan?
Or imagine the Supersonics with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Yeah. I mean that's sick. That would have been a sick fucking team. Obviously I love obviously my team is the Bulls, but I did love players, like certain players. Like I was a big Rain Man fan. Sean Kemp was my fucking dude.
Yeah, I remember. I think we all had. I remember even James Fosse had his jersey too.
Yeah, I loved Sean Kemp. I had his Team USA #7 jersey.
I do remember that.
Remember that summer when we had mad jerseys?
I miss those days, man. Like it was like every other day. It was like, what's he gonna wear? Like, and I remember I would purposely do that. I would put all my jerseys like in a basket.
Yeah.
Obviously they were clean, but I would shuffle them, and whatever one I grabbed, I was like, all right, I'm wearing this one today. But it's cool.
I know this is stupid to say, but going back to when we would play, I don't know why, but I always felt like whatever player jersey I put on, I would try to mimic as much of their game for that day. So like if I wore my Washington Bullets #2 Chris Webber, then I would try and play more of a power forward game. But if I wore like a Reggie Miller jersey, I would try to play more of a shooting guard game. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just naturally happened. Like for me, when we were younger and doing that, like I always felt like, oh, I'm wearing Jordan. I gotta play. I gotta play lights out because I'm wearing Jordan.
No, I did the same thing. I remember I had like even though this kind of wasn't my game, but I remember having like an Alonzo Mourning Hornets jersey. And I think who I know I had a Pippen jersey. I said that before, but I had the Dan Marley USA jersey.
Yeah, I remember that.
Large threes when I had that jersey.
Under Dan.
Yeah.
I liked Marley. He was a good solid shooting guard / role player, good defender. He wasn't bad. I hate when people discredit. Like one of the things, I know you're gonna do this for another show. Obviously, I know you're trying to wrap it up, but I hate when people discredit the players of the 90s compared to the players of today. Like when people are like, oh, well, Michael Jordan was being guarded by Craig Elo. LeBron's being guarded by such and such. And I'm like, Craig Elo was known as being a defensive fucking specialist back then. Exactly. So don't come at me telling me like, oh, he's Craig Elo was a great defensive player at that time, and Michael fucking abused him just like he abused everybody else. And again, going back to the way the physicality of the game was back then, I feel like you had to be more of a man to be in the league back then. Like, you couldn't be no fucking pussy.
You gotta use that body. You're the body.
Yeah, you want to cry to the referee because you're getting fouled, you get a hamstring, and you're being carried off the fucking court. Like, you're a pussy. Like, I'm sorry. You're a pussy. If you're being carried off a fucking basketball court, you're a fucking pussy.
Hey, man, I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, brother. I appreciate your time. We did our best, and we actually lived up to what we said we were going to do. We kept it under an hour. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too.
I did.
Awesome. All right, so I will definitely be reaching out to you soon. As far as my next couple of topics, I'm going to get into eventually is the New York Rangers.
We should give a plug. We should give a plug to Ryan's.
Yes.
We will be doing a review of the Rocky franchise, Rocky, all the way up to Creed 2.
Fantasy matchups, what could have happened, what should have happened. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, actually, exactly. Thank
That's
you.
on, I believe, what's Ryan's thing called? Canceled?
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like an idiot, but whatever. Maybe he'll watch this and then he'll be able to share it and plug it. But yes, Ryan, and also a big shout out to Ryan because thank you. You inspired me to do this. I'm doing it because mainly I want to talk to my friends, but I also want to put funny content out there and see what happens. But Gabe, I love you. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate your knowledge on the topic. You even brought up some stories that I forgot and some cool stories I think everyone else will enjoy. I definitely want to do a Ranger series. I think we're going to need a 2-part series for that because we both have a lot of sugar, a lot of 5-on-3 power play, no look passes. We got a lot of talked about with the New York.
I got a couple of ideas. We're gonna need a 100-part series on how
exactly. Yeah.
we're gonna have a 20-part series on how Sidney Crosby's a fucking jerk off.
That's true, and how we sent Ovi, out of the playoffs, and we'll definitely. I want to relive some of those good moments, though, some of the highs, and obviously, more of the lows, which we know.
Also, when we're doing the Ranger one, before you cut off, I would also like to spend a little bit of time on a topic that, to me, till this day, bothers me, which I call one of the worst trades in Ranger history, was when we got rid of Sergei, the motherfucking cannon shot Zubov. But that'll be for another day.
Yes, we'll save all that good stuff for now. Gabe, again, I love you, brother. I appreciate you taking time out to do this. And I'll see you on the other side.
All right.
Peace. For life.
For life.